should be going live in a moment here. So, thanks everyone for tuning in today. This is the NBA game plan. This is where I go over today's slate and I build a strategy for tonight so that we can take down some money. I know there's some big prizes tonight, so looking forward to the slate. I think that tonight's slate should be a little bit more straightforward because we only got 5 games as opposed to the 8 through 10. We've been seeing a lot of nights recently. I want to go game by game as I usually do at the start of the video to break down the slate a little bit here. Let me make sure that this is working. So, I'm not sure this account that I made for myself. I'm trying reloading. Anyway, I'm not sure why that doesn't work. Alright, so I'm going to break down the slate. I'm just going to log into my other account here so I can get this all to work. Sorry about that. So, the big good games of the slate, I mean, we got Washington on the slate, so we know that today whoever they play is going to be really popular because they play at a very fast pace. Today we got the Bulls. Washington is actually a favorite in this game, which is somewhat shocking, but I mean, they're down a couple guys. They don't have Markkanen, they don't have Chris Dunn. So, and of course Otto Porter's been out for a while, so I guess the Wizards and Bulls might be about equal at this point, especially the Wiz have a bunch of their good players back. For New Orleans, we have Brandon Ingram questionable. If he plays, it's going to be hard to really go to anyone on this team because there's just not a lot of ball to go around between 5 guys that are all pretty good fantasy assets. The Spurs are really the team of the day. DeMar DeRozan is doubtful. We saw yesterday Lonnie Walker got a spot start for DeRozan. Marco Bellinelli backed him up. And we saw a lot of DeJounte Murray minutes. Now, I don't know if that's related to DeMar DeRozan being out. I honestly don't think it is. So I don't think the minutes are necessarily that much of a lock. But I think that without DeRozan, he should see a lot of shots while he's on the court. So I'm putting Murray in a category of someone that is a high volatility play, and the value is great, but if he's overly popular, I could see avoiding him. Right now, we don't project him to be necessarily that chalky, so I think he's worth a shot. Well, Marcus Aldridge sees a lot more usage with DeRozan out, so I think that he's going to be a core player tonight, and he's the highest owned player of the slate right now in our projections. So thoughts on White or Mills over Lonnie Walker? I just question in the chat. I'm trying to catch up here. So, this is Christian asking the question. So I'm gonna pull up the Spurs. I was gonna pull up the Spurs rotation in a second, but I'm gonna just pull it up now because I think this is gonna be key tonight. So we gotta know who everyone's coming in for. So Lonnie Walker, Marco Bellinelli subbed in for Walker about 9 minutes in the game, and then Bellinelli subbed out. Bryn Forbes came in for him. So really, alright, Lonnie Walker played 10 minutes to start the second half. Then Marco Bellinelli came in. He rotated in for Lonnie Walker again. So I think that Lonnie Walker and Bellinelli are pretty much the guys that are playing the small forward tonight. And I don't think that Lonnie Walker is necessarily connected with Patty Mills or Derek White. Now, if it's like a closing lineup, they might play whoever is playing the best that game. One additional note here is that Marcus Aldridge appears like he was in foul trouble. He was on pace to play, let's see, 11 plus 7, 18 first half minutes. And then he played 12, 20 second half minutes. So we could have seen his minutes go as high as 38 in this game. He doesn't foul a lot, if I recall correctly. Let's see. Only 2.6 times per 36, so the risk of foul trouble is pretty small. And this game, it does have some blowout risk, I think, though, because they are a pretty big dog to the Thunder, 9 points. So, if it's a close game, I think Aldridge could play up to 38 minutes, but I think projecting him for around 35, incorporating that blowout risk is probably prudent. Nonetheless, I mean, that's going to really stand out at the $6,700 price tag, so I think that he's good chalk for sure. Lonnie Walker, I'm much less convinced by. I mean, he doesn't really see many minutes in normal games. Bellinelli, I don't think he's much better or worse than Lonnie Walker. And even in this game, it's funny that Lonnie Walker's a chalk because I don't think he even had a good game last game. On the other hand, he could have played up to 30 minutes if he was playing a little bit better and didn't get benched. So, a very high risk play on Lonnie Walker. Alright, Bryn Forbes and Patty Mills are usually the guys that rotate at shooting guard, but it looks like in this game, Patty Mills came in for. Well, it looks like that. It's weird because Lonnie Walker came in for Patty Mills, but Derek White and Patty Mills came on for Murray and Forbes, and then that happened again in the second half. Derek White didn't play a lot of minutes in this game, so he had, let's see, 1 foul, 3 fouls. I'm kind of curious if maybe Popcorn Machine didn't pick up a foul here. This is very important to determining the context for this game, so I'm going to bring up the official box score here. Because sometimes, let's see, sometimes these scrapers don't get everything perfect. So, the official was Derek White only had 3 fouls. It is kind of interesting that he got subbed out then. It must have been because he's shooting a 2 for 10. So, I'm going to go back a few games here and see how DeJounte Murray and Derek White interacted in these other games. So, in this game, DeJounte played, let's see, 16 first half minutes. Derek White subbed in for him, but then he closed the quarter over Lonnie Walker. Second half, Derek White again played a lot of minutes, some alongside DeJounte Murray. And then it's kind of like the observation I've been making recently is that White and Murray have been combining for more than 48 minutes. This is the interesting part, though. It's like, in this game they only combined for 48, and it was a 25-23 split. So in this game, again, they only combined for 48 minutes. So the problem is, if they're only combining for 48 minutes, neither of them is going to be a very good play. If so the way you get there, I guess, with Derek White is that either DeJounte Murray or Lonnie Walker is playing poorly, and then White ends up in the closing lineup alongside, or either in the place of Murray or Lonnie Walker. So I think that White, he makes a good pivot from DeJounte Murray or Lonnie Walker potentially. Alright. Forgot to post the link in the chat here. Sorry about that. Alright, let me check out some questions in chat. Yo, Alex, can you turn your volume up? Oh shit, my bad. And oh shit, man. My video is totally frozen, it looks like. Hang on 1 second here. I don't know what that. Let me fix this. Alright. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. Alright. So again, thanks for tuning in here. This is a free video today, so I gotta give my plug here. If you use the promo code Game Plan, you can get half off your first weekly membership. That'll give you access to all the tools that I'm using here. So this video I do Monday through Thursday. I answer any user questions in the chat, and yeah, it's kind of like my office hours / AMA. So this is your chance to ask me anything about DFS. So let me know. Best value on the Spurs. There's so many good values that it's hard to really pick one. I mean, I think that Murray is a standout for best value. Lonnie Walker is good for a 3K player, but as you can see, my projection for him isn't all that high. Pretty much any of these guys you could put in a lineup, and I think it'd be fine. Trey Lyles is someone I don't like that much because. So I think with DeRozan out, that's going to affect Bellinelli. That's going to affect Lonnie Walker. And then maybe we get a couple more minutes for Derek White or Patty Mills. If they're hot, they could close over Lonnie Walker, which is more likely than closing over DeRozan. And then I think DeMarre Carroll could potentially get in the game here, subbing in when Bellinelli normally subs in. Can you review any restrictions you've set on DK? So I will do that once I get to Fantasy Cruncher here. But thinking about, I always kind of try to hand build some lineups at the start here, so that's what I'm focused on right now. This first game, I'm expecting some big minutes here from the Clippers stars, as well as the Sixers, because this is a really competitive game. Clippers 2-point favorite. The thing is, Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams, and Harrell, and now they have Morris in the mix. It's like these guys can't all get the shots, so it's hard to like any of them individually. On the Sixers side, they are projected for 112 points. So it seems about average for them. The price is reasonable. I do like Al Horford for some reason. His price seems to really be at a low. And let me see. Let me pull up Wowie here, because I want to see how Horford is impacted by Embiid being back here. So Horford, I'm going to reference some stats on my spreadsheet that I use for the projections here. So Horford, his usage on the season is 17.7. His rebounding is 16.1. When Embiid's on, he's at 10% usage and 16.1% rebounding, 14% assists. So it does look like having Embiid on the court at the same time as him really is a negative. And the one thing though is So Horford played 30 minutes, five. Only 5 of them in the first half were alongside Embiid. So he played 14 first half minutes. Half of them were with Embiid. In this second half, 7 minutes without Embiid. So 12 out of 30 minutes without Embiid. Let's see how that shakes out here. 21% usage, 19% assists. So he was at 10.5 usage with Embiid and 21% without Embiid. So, halfway in between 21 and 10.5 is about 16. So this is a pretty significant decrease. And then 19 and let's see, he was at 14% with Embiid, 19 without. So that put him at about 16. And then the defensive rebounding was unaffected with Embiid on the floor. His true shot with Embiid on the floor is only 42. That seems a little fluky. But still, Al Horford seems like he's quite a bit underpriced here. Although, let me knock his minutes down, because it does seem like he plays less with Embiid on the court. I think I might have been a little bit overzealous with my projection on Horford. So this is kind of giving you some look behind the paywall, how I go through the players. More of a conceptual question: is there some mathematical way to determine how players a fade using the player's projected ownership and target score percentages? Toronto. Yes. So that's why I created this. The boom. Oh. Let me just send the guys a message. Sorry about that. Alright. So hopefully we can get that fixed. One price that's interesting here is Josh Richardson. It wouldn't be surprising if he started this game. There's potential that if he was off the minutes limit, he'd be a crazy value. So I'm going to keep an eye open for that starting lineup. The Bulls, I feel like, are pretty underpriced here, especially Levine on DraftKings. He's seen more usage with marketing out of the lineup, as well as Wendell Carter. Luke Cornett is a pretty low usage guy, low rebounding, so it should be more of every stat for Levine. Chris Dunn is also out and Felicio's in. This is adding to the assists. So he looks like a court play for me tonight. Thaddeus Young also a pretty good price. Wizards play at a really up-tempo pace, so I'm really leaning on these guys tonight. Kobe White, I'm not sure if he's gotten there yet, but the opportunity should be there with Chris Dunn out. Luke Cornett, I saw the Siege was saying he'd get 26 tonight. If he does, that wouldn't be a bad play. On the Wizards side, I was so happy. I got Mo Wagner right last game. He went out and had a big performance. He's someone I like as a contrarian play because I think they really want to play him over Mahinmi just for player development. The only wrinkle is that Rui Hachimura could close over both of them. But I think the potential is there for Wagner to perform well. I do like. I'm not sure if he'll match up that well with Felicio Gafford though. We'll see how that plays out. Can we get some Awesemo snapback hats? That's a good idea here. All right. Alex, thoughts on Hutchinson with Gafford back? I honestly don't think that makes much of a difference because I think that Well, before I completely say that, let me go back to this game that Gafford played in. Because usually he plays center. Alright, so Gafford came in for Cornet. Did Gafford play with Felicio? Not that I see. So I don't think that Gafford will affect Hutchinson. Alright. So Hutchinson's someone I'm looking at, but his price has gone up a little bit. Sato, I feel like, is in a strong spot without Dunn. So I think these Bulls are going to be some of my core plays tonight. Competitive game. Bertans is a good player, but not a great fantasy producer. Beal's usage has been really high recently, so I think he could be a good play. Tedious Monday says, do you think Redick is a value play today? So, he hasn't been playing big minutes, but if Ingram is out, that could be a potential opportunity for him. So I think I'm only going to play JJ Redick if Ingram's out. With Zion and Ingram back, I don't think the minutes would be there, and it looks like he had a pretty big game last game, so I don't think he'll be so sneaky. Kobe White. I think Kobe is a good play just because now he just has to close over Chandler Hutchinson. A little bit more likely than closing over Chris Dunn. He's been seeing the minutes, so I think he's a good play. Portland, Lillard's usage has been really high. I find that somewhat relevant compared to the fantasy point scoring because what I saw is that Whiteside's usage has been down. This strikes me as kind of like a scheme thing potentially. So I think that we got this really up-tempo matchup versus Pelicans, so the Blazers are in a good spot here. I do prefer Lillard to the more popular Whiteside here. Carmelo's price is way down, so he makes a good play. Ariza, if you look at the minutes, he got ejected from one game, so they're a little bit lower than they should be. The Pelicans are a little hard to break down, but Drew Holiday, he's been on a huge slump. I feel like it's a little bit fluky, so optimistic about him turning around, but the price hasn't really gone down, so it's hard to get there. Josh Hart, if Ingram's out, could be a play too. Alright, Thunder. Pretty good matchup versus Spurs here. Big favorites, so their usual suspects are good, but not great plays, I'd say. And then the Celtics, they got the whole band back together, thus making it hard to really love anyone. Although Kemba Walker looks like he's reasonably priced. Excuse me. Probably not going to make any Celtics key pieces of my night. And then for the Rockets, Harden's usage has been pretty down. Corresponding to Westbrook seeing more usage. It's another situation where I'm kind of buying in a little bit more than just saying we'll go with their season-long statistics. Covington, his rates have been down in Houston, but I'm not super optimistic with Harden and Westbrook back. If one of them was out, I'd be a little bit more into it. It looks really chalky. The price is good though, and the minutes should be there because Eric Gordon's out. PJ Tucker is back down to 4,400. He's now 65,000, so I don't think I can justify playing him. I'm poking some fun at my butt joy here for the other night. All right. 3 uniques and 40% on FC in a 5-game slate. I'll do some FC in a second here. guys coming out of Mile High are winded and suck the next game, says Matt. It's an interesting theory, but I think that uh, Spurs are the team in question here, and I mean, you'd think that going into Denver is a negative, but I don't see any reason why going to Denver and then going home or going to Oklahoma or whatever, that's a stretch. All right, someone build a lineup here. I've kind of identified Levine as a core play. I like LaMarcus Aldridge. Those are probably two guys I might have in most lineups. Eric says, how's Harden only 16% owned on DK? Should we have him more? I think that the price is good. The price is reasonable. And so I think that he looks like a good play in isolation, but you're going to have to really load up on the value plays to get to Harden, and I'm not sure that's the best strategy tonight. Because the value plays are all going to be very high owned. Do you ever give a guy to captain and play the Showdown slate on DraftKings? Yeah, Showdown's fun. I like Showdown. Alright, so I'm going to make a rule tonight where I say I only want one of Murray and White. I feel like it's very difficult for both of them to get there. But actually I'm kind of conflicted because I feel like maybe the rule I'll make is that I only want two of Murray, White, and Lonnie Walker because there's a lot of possibility for Derek White to close out the game and Lonnie Walker and Bellinelli to be on the bench. So I think that that's going to be how I build lineups tonight. There is a negative correlation here between Murray and White, though, I think. I don't mind going a little bit chalk and picking Murray, even though he's going to be so popular tonight. As long as I find some more contrarian guys that I like here. One guy I mentioned is Wagner. I feel like he's such a volatile player because he fouls like crazy. But the center depth in Washington is pretty suspect because Mahimi, he's not really a core piece for the Wizards. So like kind of playing the young guy here and hoping that he gets hot. Now I need a little bit of a contrarian spend-up play here. It looks like ownership is pretty evenly distributed among a lot of different higher price players here, so I'm having trouble finding someone. But Beal, he's shooting guard only. This is interesting. They must have really cut down on some of this multi-positional eligibility on DraftKings tonight. I like Beal. I think that he's a strong play. He's been getting good minutes and a ton of usage. Since Wagner is a foul risk, would you recommend someone else if you're playing one lineup? Wagner is kind of a guy I'd sprinkle in a little bit. He's not really core play, but you can't pick all the like chalk plays for your single entry lineup. Some nights like last night it works, but you're gonna have a very similar lineup to everyone else, and in my experience, that's generally not a great recipe. Gallinari fits this lineup real well, so I'm thinking about eating the chalk there. So I guess I might try to find someone low owned at one of the other spots. Centers versus the Bulls are a thing. I don't love the concept there. Because Cornet, I mean, he's like an outside player on offense, so it's hard to imagine like the center is going to rebound at a very high rate, but I don't have a ton of information to back that up. I did mention how I like Kobe White here is kind of a contrarian play that could get hot, so I might throw him into this lineup. And then 6,100. I'm not really seeing anyone good at that price point. So I'm going to take Kobe White out. Try to go for someone on the Bulls that is a little bit cheaper or more expensive. Maybe I'll go for Thad Young, 5K left. And that gets me favors. I don't hate that. Carmelo, he strikes me as a good value at 4,900. And I got a lineup that decently contrarian at 30 to 40% here, and high projection. So I think that this is a pretty good lineup in general. In NBA, I want to skew towards having more value than being contrarian. As long as the sum of these is more than 100%, I feel like I'm in good shape. All right, let me build another lineup here. FanDuel. All right, let me answer some questions. Paul George on FanDuel. I feel like it's harder for him to get there with the Kawhi in the lineup. Thoughts on Tice going against Tucker? I mean, I think it's fine, but I don't think he's going to necessarily get more or less fantasy points in this matchup. How many players do you tend to limit to a team in FC? I don't usually worry about that setting, although if it's not bad to set that. The chat in here is so tame compared to live before lag. Yeah, definitely. Yo, guys, hit the thumbs up. That'll make sure that I'll have some good karma going into tonight. So thank you. All right, core plays on FanDuel. It looks like Levine's a lot more on FanDuel, but I'm sure Marcus Aldridge still probably a top value tonight. Thoughts on House Jr.? I think that he's not a very productive player, so I'm not really thinking 5K is worth it. The minutes are good, though. All right, Jaylen Brown, 5,900. Even with the whole gang in Boston, that's kind of appealing, so I don't mind taking a stab there. Steven Adams, a chalk at center. This must be a really weak position here. Embiid, I guess there's only like a few centers you can go to. Harrell is someone that's intriguing. I think that he's going to be not as effective a player with Paul George and Kawhi in the lineup, though. So, man, these centers, they all look really popular, so it's hard to really choose one. PJ Tucker is finally a center on FanDuel. It's impressive. I mean, there's a lot of guys who play center that aren't even centers. Thibault, too cute. Yeah, I think that his minutes are very questionable now that Burks and Robinson are in Philadelphia. Who's the thin crust player of the day? Thin crust player of the day. Oh, man. I can't go with a Chicago player for thin crust, so that means I gotta go with a Spur. I feel like the thin crust play is not about ownership, so I'll go with Lonnie Walker. Adams always gets tired throughout the season, says Mike. That's a interesting theory. All right. So I'm going to leave center. I think that it might help to build the rest of my lineup first. CJ McCollum at 6,400 looks like a nice price tag. Chandler Hutchinson, quite popular, but good value. Kobe White, a little bit less owned. Maybe I'll go for him. The opportunity is huge here, especially against the Wizards. There's a much better chance he'll have success. Let's Let's see. Someone told me that it's Covington the other day. I thought it was Covington. Maybe someone can give me a tip here in chat. Alright. Maybe I'll go with a Thunder player here. It's a good matchup versus Spurs. They don't seem to be overly owned. So I think maybe Chris Paul. Although DeJounte Murray and Derek White look like better values. So maybe I go with Derek White, and then I'll go with Shea as kind of my contrarian option. Now I gotta really spend my money here, because I got a large average amount remaining. So I'm just gonna get the spend up options, and then 5,700 left. Carmelo fits it a little bit. Maybe I'll try to fiddle with these salaries a little bit. So maybe a shooting guard instead of Shea, I'll go with Harden. Oh no, that's way too much. Shooting guard, Drew, kind of a buy low candidate. And then I got 5,900. Wait. I guess they're the same price, so that doesn't make any sense. So maybe I'll spend down for Marcus Smart. The price is super low. Although coming off the bench, it's hard to really like the minutes there. Maybe Lou Will is a contrarian option. He's only 4% owned, so I guess that works. But there's no spend up at small forward, so this is why I'm not the greatest at hand building lineups. Alright, maybe let's see. Jaylen Brown, I don't really need him. Maybe I go with I guess I can go with Jaylen and Carmelo. Oh, but my value is really bad. I gotta up the projection of my lineup here, so maybe I'll sub in DeJounte Murray. I feel like he's kind of the way to get a higher projection. And then I need someone who's really good value. Let me pull out my boom bust tool real quick. That'll help me identify who the best values are on the slate. Oops. Hopefully this is working now. Alright. Okay. So my highest boom percentage is Murray, Aldridge, Lillard, 9,800. I probably need to get him in there. So maybe I go chalk at point guard here. And then I gotta spend down. I feel like Kawhi is not a very strong play, as well as Embiid. So maybe spend down for Steven Adams, tired as he is, and then 7,700 left. Oh man, what? The value ranking under 10 and contrarian ranking under 10? I feel like I got all the good values here. Maybe there's some glitch with that right now. Alright, now we're going to talk groups and stuff. So, let's see. I'll build a Yahoo lineup first, just because I know a lot of people really like playing on there. If we get a non-hand build game plan in the future, I mean, I usually dedicate the later part of the show to mass multi-entry. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so on Yahoo, I just kind of crunch a little bit to get some good plays of the day. Just see how the format differs there. Looks like I'm getting all bulls, so that's kind of interesting. Kind of the same characters that I'm seeing on the other sides, except Chandler Hutchinson and Thaddeus Young are very cheap. Alright. On FanDuel, I'm not expecting any real significant injuries that we won't have clarity on before lock, but Brandon Ingram is possible. I'm hoping for a clarification before lock. So I'm just gonna, I gotta set some uniques here. So I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about the uniques. One reason like you should use uniques if you're using my projections is if you use uniques in randomness, they'll guarantee that the lineups you're seeing on Fantasy Cruncher aren't going to be the same ones that everyone else is. And if you don't use one of those two, the odds that you're going to have a duplicated lineup are higher. And so this kind of spreads out your player pool a little bit, and it makes sure that it doesn't display every single lineup possible. And the ones eliminated because of the uniques are a little bit random too, so you'll just end up with different lineups than everyone who's also using this information to construct lineups. Alright, so I'm going to see what the optimal is here on FanDuel, 329. What was that? I thought it was somewhere near that. Oh well. A lot of Trailblazers in the optimal. Levine. Surprising, I didn't really get many Spurs, so I think that Lonnie Walker probably isn't a great play on FanDuel here. Just there's the pricing is too soft. Alright, so I'm going to add in the ownership column here. Oops. So the optimal, everyone is pretty high owned here. But I want to make sure that my lineups have a good projection, so I'm going to delete any below 320. Max of 2, Lillard, McCollum, and Melo. I don't necessarily think there's like any correlation there, so I don't see a need for it. But you're right. Now that I think about it, Lillard, McCollum, and Carmelo all in one lineup seems a little suboptimal because they all kind of need to take the shots, and there's only a certain number of shots to go around. So that's a good idea. Alright, so now I'm sorry for highest owned to medium. No one's super high owned on FanDuel tonight, but kind of what I'm going to try to do is have a mix of high owned players and some that are a little bit lower owned to really separate my lineup as far as like the salary distribution, my position, and stuff like that. So Derek Favors is a good example. Like he's pretty low owned. But one thing I don't like about Favors is that he's exactly the same price as Covington and Thaddeus Young, and that negates the advantage of being contrary to some extent. Lou Will, I mentioned as a contrarian option. Now, if you compare him to the chalk players, he's at a different price point than all of them, except CJ McCollum. So I feel like if you put Lou in, makes your lineup a little bit different, the way you spend the salary, and he's super low on, so that's a good idea. Rui Hachimura, I feel like he's a good play, like in isolation, but because LaMarcus Aldridge is such a lock, it's going to be harder to go contrarian on one of the two spots. Josh Hart, that's contingent on Ingram missing, so I wouldn't really lock that lineup in now. So on DraftKings, I feel like the groups are going to be much more in play here. So let me just run a crunch here. Would you make a group for Washington, Rui, Bertans, and Wagner? I don't think I would make a group for them. Maybe 2 out of 3, but like I don't think I like them enough to play 2 and 3, 2 of the 3 in one lineup anyway. They're more kind of guys to sprinkle in. How many uniques would you use for a 5 gamer? I think that it depends on the number of lineups you're generating, but if you're doing 500 and then narrowing it down from there, 3 uniques is fine. If you're doing a lot more than 2 uniques, probably. Alright, so ending up with a lot of Murray, a lot of Derek White, Mills, Lonnie Walker. I don't know, like, let me just see if DeMar DeRozan missed any games, because I know everyone has Lonnie Walker as a pretty great play today, so I'm kind of wondering if there's something missing here. So I'm going to just go briefly and go through the game logs. He played every game this season, so that doesn't help really. Let's see if there's one he didn't really play much. Nope. So I'm kind of going off a sample size of 1 here. If he's not popping up that much in my projections, it may be a stretch to say that he's going to be so popular tonight, but I'll take some more looks at it. I feel like the White and Murray group is somewhat strong because if one of them's having a really good game, it could easily be at the expense of the other. Walker and Bellinelli. I don't know how much I'd have Bellinelli in the first place, but I don't want those guys together. And then Mills and Forbes, they're both plays tonight that I don't want together. Then let's see. You could do Kobe White and Satoransky potentially, but that connection is a little bit weaker, so I don't necessarily think that's a great idea. But if you're just building one lineup, like I would probably choose not to have both of those guys. Ish Smith and Shabazz Napier, kind of fringe plays tonight, but you wouldn't want them together. There's an interesting correlation between Embiid and Horford too, since Embiid does so much better when, or Horford does so much better when Embiid's off the floor. But all right, so let me go through and I'll delete some low projected lineups here. 291 is my highest, and for reference, I got 289. So I did a good job maximizing my projection there. So it looks like pretty easy to stay within this 10-point threshold of my highest projected lineup. So, and then I'm going to delete the top maybe 25% owned. I think those lineups are just going to be too heavily owned in tournaments. And then I'll just sort by order produced this time because that'll be interesting. So it doesn't, it'll kind of give me a random sample. So Patty Mills, a good like contrarian option on the Spurs. I think that's fine. Mo Wagner, good contrarian option as well. Noel, I gotta make a group with Noel and Steven Adams because definitely don't want those guys together, and they're both plays tonight. But he's a good kind of GPP play when he's low owned because whenever Adams is in the game, he's kind of a low hit percentage, but he's really good when he's on the floor. So guys, I hope this helps. What do you think of Korkmaz? I don't think that he's really a play because I'm worried that Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson will start taking more minutes. When will PGA projections be up? I want to make the PGA projections tonight. Do you prefer Wagner or Rui? I think Rui is a much better player, but he's more expensive and probably. I think that yeah, Rui's probably a good play. Joe says I couldn't see the password. Type that slower. Nice. All right. Given that Team McBeast says, given that neither Spurs PG has to totally destroy things, get their target score, you can get away with running them together. I think that you can get away with it for sure because White and DeJounte Murray sometimes play on the court at the same time, but it does hurt your lineup's overall chances. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning into the game plan, and we got the deeper dive coming up here in a few minutes, so make sure to tune into that. All right. Later, guys.